Hey everyone, it's Jonathan and welcome back to the Disney Movie Marathon. Today I'm joined once more by Stanford and Mark, and we're talking about the long-delayed, long-anticipated, potentially even long-dreaded sequel to Mary Poppins, Mary Poppins Returns. Normally something like a 54-year gap between one movie and its sequel, a sequel in which none of the main characters who return are played by the original actors, and really hardly anyone even involved in the original production returns, and for most of them the reason is that they are no longer living. It's been so long ago that the original was made that there is no one left alive to return to the roles they had in the original cast or crew. And for any other movie, that sounds like basically a really, 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 really awful idea. And when this was first announced, I was as cynical as anyone. But Mary Poppins Returns flies in the face of all logic to become something so much greater than you would ever expect. Emily Blunt doesn't try to do a carbon copy of Julie Andrews' take on the character, but she still pulls off a very believable Mary Poppins and truly makes the role her own. This movie far surpassed any expectations any of us had, and I have been so excited to revisit this one for the podcast. So this one, I knew that this one was good. I remembered when I first saw it, and I knew this one was good, but I'd forgotten just how great it was. And maybe I was just in the mood for it this week, but I really liked this movie.
No, this is one of the few on my live action Disney blog that I actually gave an A to. So
Yeah.
yeah, it is
Yeah,
pretty good.
it is good. I went in with such trepidation and just left with a giant smile on my face. Such a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
We'll go more into it, but I think it reminds me a lot of when Star Wars Episode 7 came out, and I heard a reviewer say that one reason that was such a hit was it was very comparable to Star Wars Episode 4 and it paralleled a lot. And I think what helped this movie especially was I felt this actually did parallel a lot with Mary Poppins. I mean, even from the songs, like Can You
Hmm.
Imagine That is literally parallel of A Spoonful of Sugar. Turning Turtle is the parallel of I Love to Laugh. Nowhere to Go But Up is the parallel of Let's Go Fly a Kite. Uh, Trip to Light Fantastic is parallel of Chim Chim Cherry plus Step in Time mixed together.
Yeah.
Royal Dalton Hall is with Jolly Holiday. Cover's Not a Book is with Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. So I think the fact that this movie, it's not I wouldn't say it's not a carbon copy or anything, but there's just a lot of parallels to the original one that we all know and love, and I think that helped it a lot.
Yeah, but the fact that they took all of the ideas and elements from the first one, but completely did their own thing with each one of them.
Yeah.
It's the same, but totally different.
Right.
Because like in both movies, Mary Poppins comes to teach a Mr. Banks, a
Hmm.
lesson. And who the Mr. Banks is two different people in the first movie as opposed to the second. But
Hmm.
she still comes to teach a lesson, and she's nanny of Banks' children, and there are two different sets of Banks' children in both movies. And she's friends with a guy with multiple jobs, but total different guy with multiple jobs. Uh, you
Yeah.
know. But no, I just thought it was a very good movie. And like we talked about, I think in the last episode, but this came out right in the middle of, when Disney's doing all their live action remakes. So if this had come out in a different time, I probably would have been more angry about it coming out because I said, oh, that's a movie we shouldn't have a sequel to. But because it came out when it did, I was more open to it because like, okay, I'd rather take a sequel to a movie than a live action remake of an animated movie. And I think that's what actually made me, open to watch it. And I'm glad I did because I love this movie.
Yeah, this kind of gets lumped in with the sequels. I can't remember what it is, but on Disney Plus, it's like Classics Reimagined or something like that. And this is in there with the sequels.
The remakes, I mean.
But this does the reimagining of the classic so much better than any of the live action remakes. It's not a remake, it's a sequel, but it's sort of like we said, it sort of takes the elements from the original and just does its own thing with it. It's one of the reasons why I really like Pete's Dragon as the live one of the best live action remakes. It does its own thing with the original source material. And I wish more of the if they're going to keep doing live action remakes, obviously they are because they keep making money, but I wish more of them would take the route of doing their own thing with it instead of just making a copy of the original.
Yeah, I think that was a huge part of this film too. That my enjoyment of it as well is that it was trying to be something different. I mean, I really like Mark how you laid out those that song comparison because I mean it really follows in a lot of ways the same story beats, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think
As
that's what I'm trying to
but
say. Yeah.
but it felt respectful though, you know, and not and
Hmm.
again, just
Oh
like
no,
what you're
yeah.
saying, John, it's
Hmm.
not a copy.
Yeah.
Really, it's its own thing, yet I just felt like it showed reverence for the original rather than like we're just we're better, you know, this is a more enlightened version or something, you know, like some of this other crap that happens with these remakes.
Yeah. It felt like they had somebody making this that actually wanted to make this. It didn't feel like
Yeah,
a studio mandated sequel.
exactly.
Yeah. Like I don't even look at it as a reimagining in any way of Mary
Nope.
Poppins. I literally look at it as a sequel,
It's a
and
Yeah.
yeah,
sequel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it parallels a lot with it, but it's not like it's a sequel. It's not a remake or a reimagining in my the way I look at it.
Hmm. And apparently, it's the longest interval between a
Yeah. So
film and its sequel in cinematic history. 54 years between the original and the sequel.
I think if we're counting director video, would it be Bambi and Bambi 2?
Probably, but I don't remember how many years was
Because that's
in
what
between.
1942 to 2006,
Yeah.
64 years.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't realized that this movie, in a way, had sort of been in development hell since the original movie because Walt Disney himself wanted to do a sequel right away. But guess who got in the way?
Good old Mr. Travers.
Gil Travers.
You ruined my book. You ruined my books once. You're not gonna do it again.
Right, you're not gonna do it again.
And then apparently in the late 80s, Jeffrey Katzenberg tried again and went to P.L. Travers
Oh, interesting.
with an idea for a sequel set years after the first film, with the Banks children now as adults and Julie Andrews reprising her role as an older Mary Poppins. And again, she rejected it. The only thing she liked was to have Julie Andrews return, and she wanted a sequel that would be set 1 year after the original film. I guess recasting everybody except for Julie Andrews, but that didn't work either. And apparently she tried more than once, like herself, to get something off the ground. Like, I'm not sure the exact timeline. It wasn't really clear on Wikipedia, but apparently she and another writer friend of hers, Brian Sibley, wrote like a full screenplay for a sequel called Mary Poppins Comes Back.
Oh yeah, Brian Sibley. He's a pretty big Disney historian.
Yeah, apparently this was going to be based on some unused parts from her second book, and Sibley wrote to Roy E. Disney about making the film, and then he contracted them to supply a film treatment, and then Travers had tons of notes on his Disney's script ideas, rejected a bunch of them, liked some of them. One of these was including replacing Bert with his brother, and then having an ice cream man in the park that would be a potential admirer for Mary.
I actually like that. I would love to see that version.
Interesting.
But then apparently there was some casting issues. The time that they were talking about this, Julie Andrews was like temporarily retiring from making films.
Yeah, this was like before Princess Diaries when she came back.
Yeah, so she was not interested in reprising her role as Mary Poppins. And then they had trouble finding somebody to play Bert's brother. Apparently, someone suggested Michael Jackson.
That would have been the weirdest thing ever.
Oh my goodness. Crazy.
And then this all eventually was just canceled because of all of the issues that they were having. Until 2015, when Walt Disney Pictures president Sean Bailey pitched a new idea to Rob Marshall, John DeLuca, and Mark Platt for what would become this movie. And this one was finally approved by Travers' estate,
But yeah, because she's gone by now.
which I can imagine was probably far easier to get the
Oh,
estate's
wow.
approval than Travers
Right, and then
herself.
to get her. Right. Exactly.
So then this one is finally in production based on parts of the remaining 7 books in the series
Here we go.
after decades and decades of trying.
See, folks, if you try hard enough and long enough, your dream will
Yeah.
eventually come true.
Finally. Things, yeah,
You
finally.
you may die before it comes true, but it'll come true eventually.
But still, it will come true.
But yeah, like going back to the Brian Sibley and Roy Disney version, like I'm trying to think like who would I have cast as Julia as Mary Poppins at that time? This would have been, I'm guessing, the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, I think so. Because it was late 80s when she was trying to put together the
Hmm.
presentation when they wrote the screenplay.
Yeah, I don't know who would have I would have put at that time. That'd be interesting fan cast.
Yes, absolutely.
I have somebody in my head. I'm trying to think of their name.
Who was she in?
Well, I grew up watching a lot of Britcoms on PBS, and
Hmm.
like my favorite one was Keeping Up Appearances. But that if you've
Oh,
ever
with
seen it, Hyacinth's neighbor.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she.
I'm trying to
Okay,
think of her
yeah.
name. Who was that actress?
I forget her name too. I know who you're thinking of. Yeah.
I don't know that, yeah.
I'm looking on Wikipedia.
Keeping Up Appearances, what a great show. Great
I like how we
cast.
all actually know it.
I know that we all have watched it.
Josephine Tewson,
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. She passed away, I think, recently. What, past like year or two or something.
2022. Yeah. So not too long ago. She was 91. But I feel like she could have pulled off a Mary Poppins type because
Yeah.
she had range. Like she
Hmm.
was a very timid person in Keeping Up Appearances, but I think she could have been a no nonsense nanny with a bit of cheekiness to her.
Yeah, yeah.
No, yeah, I could see that. I was also thinking like Emily Watson. I was a big fan of hers. And I think
Oh
at
yeah.
that time, like age-wise, that would work too, I think.
Trying to think if I've seen her in anything.
She's always in like she's like a character actor in a lot of stuff, but she was in the Book Thief movie, if you saw that. I
Mm-mm.
think she was in War Horse. She's been I'm
She
sure you've
looks
seen her in
vaguely
stuff.
familiar. Let me look through her
Yeah. She
list.
like does like a lot of stuff. But everything she's in, I like enjoy her performance.
Yeah, she's chosen a lot of good projects, hasn't she?
Hmm.
Oh, okay. That's why she looked familiar. She was Marmee in the 2017 Little Women miniseries.
Oh, there you go.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah, I could see her as Mary
Yeah.
Poppins.
Mhm. And if she was younger, I could totally see Haley Mills as Mary Poppins.
Hmm. That would be interesting.
Yeah, but I think the 90s she would have been a little too old. Or I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, Mary Poppins, I don't think Mary Poppins needs to be young.
Hmm. And it was the 90s. Okay, maybe Haley Mills could have worked.
I could see it.
There we go. We got three fan casts for the movie that never got
Yes,
made.
absolutely.
But I think they did an amazing job picking Emily Blunt for this movie.
Oh, she was so
Yeah.
good.
She was made for this part.
She just embodied the role, didn't she? Yeah.
Hmm.
She really did.
Like you could tell she wasn't just picked because oh she's famous or anything. Like no, she was Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Yeah, she
She
was.
really embodied the character.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not sure that before this movie, I was really that familiar with her. So it wasn't like they cast someone who was like super famous. Because I feel like with this and A Quiet Place both coming out in the same year, she was like a brand new person to me. Because I know she'd been in other things, but it wasn't things that I'd either seen
Mm.
or made that much of an impression. Because, like, just a quick glance over her filmography, she was in Into the Woods. I don't remember that movie.
Oh,
I remember a couple scenes. It kind of left my mind after I left the theater. It didn't really stick with me at
It
all.
didn't stay.
No, I don't even remember which character she played.
she was the wife, the baker's wife.
I loved her in The Devil Wears Prada, which I don't
That's
know
the
if that was her first
that was like her
film,
first big role, I think.
Which I haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen that either.
but wow, I thought she just killed it in that movie. And ever since I was just a fan, anytime I'd see that Emily Blunt was in something like Score, she's so good.
The earliest thing I've seen her in is this was before she was a star, but I think I mentioned I'm a big fan of Poirot, and they have the Agatha Christie's Poirot series,
Oh,
and
was she in an episode of Perot?
she did the Death on the Nile episode. She played one of the
Nice.
characters. There's one of her early roles,
Hmm.
like definitely pre Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
And she had an American accent, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, up until this movie, she was not somebody who really had crossed my radar. Just this and A
Mm,
Quiet Place in the same year, and then
yeah.
suddenly she became like one of my favorite actresses.
So hard to think this was 2018. That's already 7 years ago.
I know. I couldn't believe it when I looked.
Seriously, like
It
where does
feels like
time
just the
go?
other day.
Yeah, this is to me a new movie still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that freaked me out too. Being reminded of the year it came out. Like, what?
Yeah. Well, then we also have Lin-Manuel Miranda as Jack.
This was like right in the peak of him being at the top of his game,
Yeah.
like just everywhere.
He has the Bert role for the movie.
Might as
Yeah.
well have been Bert, but yes, Jack.
There was a line that basically implied that he was like the apprentice of
Yeah.
Bert.
Hmm.
He said something about he was an apprentice to a chimney sweep, and I think Mary said something like, "Where is Bert?" And he said something about he's traveling the world or something like that.
Yeah. But he did his part well, I think, and even his accent wasn't, it wouldn't be ridiculed like Dick Van Dyke's was, even though I still don't think his was that bad.
No, and I kind of wondered if he was maybe taking a little bit of a cue from Dick Van Dyke's accent because like it wasn't the same, but it felt similar.
I remember an interview he was saying like he was something like he was practicing to make sure that like he doesn't get like ridiculed because of how Dick Van Dyke got infamous for that. So,
Ah,
so I think I think it was pretty intentional his accent.
He did a good job.
He did, yeah.
yes, you did. I go too.
And then we have Ben Whishaw as Michael Banks, another actor that I'm still not really familiar with. This is mainly the only thing that I know him from. I
You haven't
guess
seen the Paddington movies?
no, I haven't. That's like the thing that everybody knows him from now, but I
Mhm.
have not seen those. When the first
Oh, you
Paddington
should.
came out, I know people keep telling me that. When the first Paddington came out, the trailer just totally turned me off. I was so disgusted by the
Oh yeah,
there was
it was a
the
bad trailer. Yeah,
it there was the bear in the bathroom and there was
yeah,
like
yeah. With the
disgusting jokes and I was like, this looks awful.
trust me, the movie's nothing like that.
That's what I've been told. So at some point
Mhm.
I really need to catch up and watch all of those.
And I think my first, at least I'm aware, project that I saw him in was in some James Bond movies. He plays the character Q,
Oh, okay.
and he was in Skyfall. He might have been in the very first. It was the Daniel Craig James
Hmm.
Bonds. If you're following.
I don't think I've ever seen a James Bond movie either.
Yeah, I've seen one and a half James Bond movies in my life,
Oh, I've seen them all. I quite like them. Yeah.
but I thought he was perfect as Michael Banks as well. Like the casting is all just like I thought the casting was like pretty much perfect in the first movie. I think
Yes,
they
agreed.
really hit the nail on the head with this movie as well.
Yes, pretty much everybody just
Yeah,
felt like who they needed to feel like.
exactly.
And I did not realize until doing my notes for this movie that the housekeeper is supposed to be the same housekeeper from the original movie.
Yeah, it's Ellen. Yeah.
I did not realize that the first time I watched this. I just figured it was a different housekeeper. And now she was played by Julie Walters.
Mhm. I always wonder what happened to Cook. Like, I guess maybe she just left.
I'm gonna just assume that Cook passed away because
Or
she
she
was
Yeah,
much
that's the thing. Cook passed away.
she was much older because she
Was
already
she?
had white hair in the original.
I think she just had white hair. I don't know if she was older. Like, I never like thought of her as older. I just thought of her as white haired.
Well, when I was a kid, I just figured both of them were two little old ladies. It wasn't
Yeah,
until I was an adult watching now, it's like, oh yeah, I guess Ellen really wasn't that old. She
fair
still
enough.
had red hair, so it's not like she was old enough for her hair to start graying. But Cook had white hair, so not that that means anything because some people can go gray in their 20s, but I'm just going to assume that they meant for her to be older and she's passed on now.
I've been, my hair's been turning white for years now.
Ah,
But yeah, it could be that. I also think maybe because of the depression, maybe they had to let her go. I don't know, but that's Saturday, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they got an extra kid out of it. They got rid of a cook and they got one more kid.
yeah, there you go.
Can't have too many characters.
But I thought that Julie Walters did a great job
No, no,
as
yeah,
this character that like thinking back on it now, like she did a good job taking over this character.
yeah.
Like I said, I didn't realize the first time watching it that she was the same character, but now that I know, I realize that she embodied a lot of the same mannerisms, except she's now supposed to be older.
It feels like a Ellen who's older, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it does.
She had a few moments where it's supposed to be like she's a forgetful little old lady, which I thought was cute, and her not being bothered at all seeing Mary Poppins sliding up the stairs.
Yes, like just like, she's back again. Nope, it's just like normal.
Yeah, right.
It hasn't been, 30 years. It's just normal.
We also have Emily Mortimer taking over the role of Jane.
Yeah,
I love her too.
I do
Yes.
too. I like her a lot.
I really like the relationship between Jade and Michael. Like, one thing I'm a sucker for is I really like brother-sister relationships in films that are portrayed lovingly and the brother sister are getting along. I feel a lot of times in Hollywood films, especially, I feel brothers and sisters kind of they always seem to be like fighting, where it's a lot of hatred between them.
Yeah, it's like
And
this
I
very
feel
adversarial thing,
yeah,
but
it's very
yeah,
hard to see like a loving relationship between brother and sister. So like I really like that in this movie because I find it's very rare, especially in Western Hollywood films.
Hmm. Yeah, they had a great relationship. And I liked that with both of them, they sort of took after their parents in some of what they did because Michael, he's working at the bank that his father worked at,
The bank that stole his two tuppence from him, or his tuppence from
yeah,
him. Yeah.
which I liked that they came back to that and had them be a plot point towards the end. That was creative.
yeah, I agree.
But he wants to be an artist, but he's a teller at this bank. And then we have Jane as a union organizer and working for like a soup kitchen.
Yeah.
So she's taking after her mother's activism.
Yes, they're taking after their parents, right? And yeah,
Yeah.
Sadly, she didn't get a sister suffragette song.
right.
Oh yeah, that is one that didn't get a
Didn't get a parallel.
yeah.
One of the story beats that didn't get matched.
I guess you could argue if did Feed the Birds get matched. I guess it depends if you think Lost Things Go matches Go to Sleep or if it matches Feed the Birds. I mean, not Go to Sleep,
Almost
Stay
like
Awake.
both. Yeah, yeah, a good point.
It kind of has parallels to both, but it really
Yeah.
is its own thing because of what they're doing with that song.
Hmm.
And not everything has to have a parallel, but it is interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Were you guys familiar with any of the kids?
Not before. I don't think.
No, I don't believe so.
I don't know if they did anything before this that I knew of, at least. I know the girl did a voice role in, I think it was The Magician's Elephant after. I think that was the only thing I saw her in that. Well, heard her in,
Yeah.
but that's about it.
She has roles in a few things that I've heard of but not seen. She also did a voice in 101 Dalmatian Street. She has several voices in that show. So,
Kids were probably to me, if I had to pick a weakest characters, I would or weakest performance, I would say the kids, but it's just because I'm comparing them to Michael and Jane from the first movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're still pretty. They do like they're really trying. Like they're really good. They're not bad. That's how good the acting is.
yeah, I've seen some kid actors who they're not great. These kids, they sell their roles.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's
and
true.
the characters are well written too because like at the first part of the movie I was afraid that they were going to be the stereotypical perfect children because like a lot of movies that have a focus on an adult going through a tough time they use the children as like these perfect little angels. They're like the one that's coming to mind first is Cindy Lou Who from the animated Grinch with Benedict Cumberbatch. I didn't really like her character. She was too perfect.
I see that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was afraid that these kids were going to be that. But then there was a scene towards the middle where they're like full on arguing with each other. And I was like, okay, I like these kids. They feel real now.
Yeah. Yeah.
In addition to the main cast, we also have Colin Firth as the new chairman of Fidelity Fiduciary Bank. He is the nephew of Mr. Dawes Jr., the guy who gave George Banks his job back at the end of the first movie.
Yes.
Yes.
So he is the villain of this movie. He pretends like he's got their best interest at heart, but really he's trying to get their house from out from under them.
And I never figured out why. Like, I mean, is it, I guess it's just greed, but like there was no reason like, oh, that was special about that house or anything. It wasn't like, oh, he was gonna develop the land for something, but no, like he just wanted the house.
He had a line towards the end, something about like doubling the profits of the bank. So I think that that's probably all it was. He wanted to make the bank more profitable. And if he can get somebody's house, then he can resell it and make even more money. I think that's all it was. It because there was nothing in there about like trying to develop a block or something.
Yeah.
Like he was trying to get a block of houses. I think it was just any random house that he could get a hold of. He wanted the house so he could resell it.
Yeah.
And his name is what? William Weatherall Wilkins or something.
Yes.
And he was perfect too, I think, as the bad guy. Like he was just the right level
Yes.
of
I
like he wasn't
agree
over the
too.
top and he wasn't like understated. Just
Yeah. He
Good
felt like
actor.
a normal, underhanded businessman.
Yes.
Not like scheming, evil, mustache twisting villain. He was a greedy businessman who wanted their house.
the only thing that's like surprised me was at the end of the movie when they have to get him the bank shares at the stroke of midnight is the fact that he actually did wait until the stroke of midnight. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. I didn't think you'd do that, but all right, I'll give you that.
He's not pure evil. He's
It's not pure.
almost
He's
evil.
75%.
Yeah.
He got a C plus in the evil exam.
I guess in a way he felt kind of more realistic. I don't know if that's a fair
Yeah.
assessment. But just like, yeah, that type of person exists, you know? I mean, it was like,
Yes. That's what I meant. He wasn't like a mustache twisting evil villain.
yeah,
He felt like an actual corrupt businessman.
white collar
Yeah,
criminal, you know, kind of thing.
he wasn't gonna break into song up with a villain song.
Yeah. I think the biggest surprise for me was Mary Poppins' cousin, played by Meryl Streep.
Meryl Streep.
I was not expecting her in this movie, but I really liked the character, and I liked Meryl Streep as this character, Topsy.
Yeah, she I guess was supposed to be the new Uncle Albert, the new weird
Hmm.
cousin of or weird family
Yeah,
member of
cousin
Mary
Topsy.
Poppins.
Yeah, exactly. Uncle Albert.
I'd be curious to know if she was from one of the books,
Wouldn't surprise me.
because I know that they went back to the books for different elements for this. I'm wondering if Topsy was one of the characters taken from the books.
That's a very fine question.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, same.
I wasn't happy though with Meryl Streep being in the movie because especially when it came out because this was like a couple years after her controversial Walt Disney statements that she made right around the time of Saving
Oh,
Mr. Banks.
Mark, that's
So
right.
ever since then, like my kind of I don't want to say respect, but I don't like her as much, I guess, as other people. So when they cast her in this movie, after it's like, wait, after all of what she said about Walt Disney, whatever, you put her in a Disney movie. That was interesting.
What did she say? I can't even remember.
I think it was something about Walt Disney being sexist or something, and
Or
like other
racist,
thing
I
or race.
think.
I can't remember what it was, but
Or both. Yeah.
yeah, it was
There were
just
these
like the usual.
derogatory statements about
Mhm.
Walt Disney that I think the fan community kind of really, got their ire.
And she said it like right around the time of the Oscars nominations for like when Saving Mr. Banks had
Was it
come
for
out.
Under Saving Mr. Banks?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So ever
Okay.
since then, like it wasn't. So when I found out she was in this movie, I was not very happy. But time has passed. I could tolerate her, I guess.
Well, I liked her character and I liked this song. I liked the idea of, like, it's another one where they took inspiration from the first film, but instead of having everybody, like, float up to the ceiling, it's more like the
Put the
ceiling
ceiling
comes
up.
to them. It was just an interesting idea for a musical number, having the ceiling flip around and you're dancing on the ceiling, but up and down all the things. And
It's like Fred Astaire again.
yeah, it was a cool set piece.
The only thing I didn't like about it was like in the first movie, the Uncle Albert scene is like, just a random visit that what you expect in that movie. Mary Poppins is taking the kids around for like random visits, random, um, you know, day-to-day activities or whatever, and that's one of them. But in this movie, the reason they go is because they broke the bowl and they're going to Topsy to see if it can be fixed. But then after that, that plot point just dies. We never hear back about the bowl. We never hear back from Topsy about it. It was like, okay, now this was a plot point for a reason, but now like we've just dropped the reason. Like if it was just like a random visit, like how Uncle Albert was, okay, that would kind of make sense. But now we started this with a goal of, okay, can you fix our bowl? And she's like, okay, I'll look into it. And that's it. We never hear about the bowl again. That plot point just goes away, and we never see her again. So that's the only thing I didn't. Only if I had to nitpick and make a criticism, that's the only thing I would say.
That'd be it.
I'm not sure if it was like I feel like the point of it was to get the kids to think differently about the bowl because they're originally thinking that this is like some valuable thing that they can sell and get money for. But I think in talking to Topsy, they realize that the value is not in what they can get for it, but in the fact that it meant something to their mother.
I guess it just makes the bowl like a MacGuffin, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It didn't bother me that it didn't come back. I would just assume that she eventually fixes it and gives it back to them at a later date.
Not second Wednesday.
Huh.
Two more characters that came back were Admiral Boom and Mr. Binnacle.
I was just thinking
Yeah.
about them. Well, of course they had to replace them because those actors have passed.
Yeah, now David Warner is Admiral Boom and Jim Norton is Mr. Binnacle.
Chart a course, Mr. Pinnacle. That I will, sir. They're fun.
As much as I don't like the idea of these crazy people shooting cannons off the roof, causing earthquakes every day, I do still kind of like the idea of the character, especially because it's just this eccentric old guy who is now a really old guy. He's in a wheelchair and he's still just doing this. And yeah, that's just that guy who lives on the roof shooting his cannon around.
Shooting his cannon off certain times, like clockwork, right? Clearly.
At least this time it doesn't shake up the whole house.
Oh, it did in one scene because they had when I think it was with the lawyers were there.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
Yeah. Thankfully you don't have too many scenes of things crashing around. That would just get so old. I would hate living next door to this person. He's good as a movie character, but if this was a real person, I would hate him.
Yeah, this is the
You'd be
worst.
moving. You go
Yeah.
to Mr. Wilkins like, hey, buy my house.
Yeah.
So this is super nerdy of me, but I thought it was fun to have David Warner back in a Disney movie. He was in the original Tron film.
Yes, I
And
forgot.
and so I don't know if that was just a coincidence or just someone at Disney knows their Disney history. That I thought that was entertaining casting,
He fit the character.
and he was great in the character. Yeah, he was great in the
Yeah.
role, and
Yeah.
I thought he was a great villain in the original Tron film too. But then I'm also a Tron junkie, so
I hadn't realized that he was the narrator for some Winnie the Pooh stuff.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah, I forgot
right.
about
I
that
forgot
too.
about that too, John. Yeah.
He did a lot of voice work.
Yeah, he had a great voice.
And he died in 22 as well as Angela Lansbury, who is
Oh,
also
okay.
in this movie.
It was also in this movie.
Yes, I loved her.
I did too. I was so happy that she was in the film.
Yeah,
That made a smile on my face. That was like, oh, you're bringing back Mrs. Potts. You're bringing back Eglantine Price.
Yeah, it's so
Eglantine
cool.
Price. Yeah.
and her role was obviously written for Julie Andrews, but
Mhm.
I'm so glad that they got Angela Lansbury because we just needed more Angela Lansbury before it was too late.
True.
I'm surprised how well she still was able to sing.
Yes. Oh, she
Like, she
I
memorized
I
that.
loved the character. Like it was such a small scene, but it was just perfect for this movie.
It was perfect. And just so I just think what Disney fan or movie fan didn't just love that too,
Yes.
Song, I love the song. I love the colors, the balloons, her. Like it was a great way to end the movie.
Yes, definitely.
My favorites. So many good songs in this movie, but that was probably my favorite song from the film. Nowhere to Go But Up.
Definitely one of the best ones.
Yes, it was very good.
Yeah, it's hard to pick a favorite. I like Triple Little Light Fantastic up until it gets to the
The rap.
the rap, yeah.
The Lin-Manuel Miranda rap.
Exactly. But up until that, it's probably my favorite. But besides that, I like Royal Dalton Hall also.
Yes, that one's very good.
Yeah.
I think the one that comes back to mind for me the most is Can You Imagine That? I think that's my favorite.
Oh, that's a good one too, John. Yeah.
That's catchy. My least favorite song is probably the turtle talking, turtle and turtle. But even that isn't like bad.
I can't think of any that are bad.
Actually, maybe Lost Things Go is probably my least favorite. I didn't really get into that. I know it means a lot, but
I,
it's
I,
just not a
I
favorite.
when I was watching this, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be Mark's least favorite song.
You know me well, John.
I don't think I can think of any that I would say is my least favorite. I think some are my favorites and others are just good. I don't have them ranked. They're all good.
Yeah, no, it's a bad song. It's not a bad song. It just doesn't interest me as much.
I'm not sure if I'm that familiar with the people who wrote the music for this. Music and score was composed by Mark Shaman, with
Yeah.
lyrics written by Scott Wyman or
Yeah.
Scott Whitman.
Mark wrote the music for the musical adaptation of Hairspray.
Okay, I haven't
And
seen that.
I don't know if you've seen that film, but
No.
that music I think is terrific. And Mark, I thought he did a really, I thought they did a great job.
I don't think I'm familiar with his stuff either.
Oh, see, if you haven't seen, Hairspray is really good, my opinion.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
Very, yeah. I know he does a lot of stuff, but I thought that was a good choice.
He has a very long list. Like when I went over his list, there was stuff that jumped out at me like, oh yeah, I've seen it. I think the one that surprised me the most was George of the Jungle. I loved that movie growing up. But he also did other things that I have seen since. Like he did both Sister Act and Sister Act 2.
Yes.
That surprised me. And he did the Hocus Pocus movies. He's done a lot of stuff that everyone has heard of. He's just not one that like he's not John Williams level, I
Right.
guess. Like everybody knows John Williams, but he's one of the composers that he does a lot of stuff that everybody knows, but the music isn't what they remember them for. So he just kind of he's in the background.
One more person in this movie who, before we can go out of casting, is Dick Van Dyke shows up again.
Yes.
So again, which is so great.
As Mr. Don Jr. this time, not Mr. Don Sr., which he was in the first movie, but now he's the son.
Yes, which it makes so much sense for him to
Makes
take
so
over
much
that
sense,
character.
That was such a great choice.
I think I had the biggest smile on my face when he showed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
'Cause I can't remember if they advertise him in the movie. I can't remember.
I don't think so. I think it was a surprise. Yeah.
And he could still like dance like for his age.
Yeah. I feel like I knew going in that he was in it,
Okay.
but I also don't usually get to movies immediately. So it probably was one of those things. Maybe if they did keep it a secret, I probably just heard a review that mentioned it. Because it's rare for me to get to a movie like on opening day or opening week. I'm usually like 2 or 3 weeks late.
He got to sing like it was so nice.
Sing, dance. Yeah.
Sing, dance, act, the whole
He,
show.
he
The
had
whole
he had the
shebang.
perfect cameo for what he needed to do.
Oh, it was brilliant.
It was
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
I'm not sure there was anybody else that really stood out to me as somebody to take note of. The only other person that I feel like we need to mention is that Karen Dotrice, who played Jane in the original,
Yeah.
had a very short cameo.
She had a really
Yeah.
small cameo, which was adorable to have her in there too. I thought, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. The scene where she asks Jane and Jack for directions.
Mhm.
There's a woman who comes up, that's her. Which I don't think I knew that the first time I watched this. So I was watching for it this time. And knowing that that's her, you look at her and like,
You
yeah,
see it, yeah.
I can see it in her face, even though she's so much older now. You can still see the little Jane in there.
And she says that after she asks them for direction, she says, many thanks, sincerely. So which goes back to the song they had in the movie
Yes.
where it was sincerely many thanks. Jane and Michael Banks.
I think there was a little music cue as well.
Oh, I
Yeah.
remember that.
Well, I guess we can get into the story. We open with the song Lovely London Sky. And this is, as soon as this started, like, I've been doing so many podcasts recently that I'm kind of sick of taking notes. So I kind of had been putting this movie off and putting it off because it's long. And I knew it was going to be a lot of work to do notes for this. But as soon as that song started, I was like, I don't care anymore. I love this.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It instantly grabs you, doesn't it?
Yes, it was so good. And it made me think because it has the opening credits after that with like paintings and a medley of music. And I was like, we really don't get a lot of opening credits like this anymore. They don't do, not that this is a big musical number, but like a medley of the songs along with the names and artwork.
No, people don't do anything for their credits anymore. It's sad.
Yeah, it just felt like a nice throwback to the way things used to be in movies.
Should be.
And this movie is set during the Great Slump, which I think is roughly the same time as the Great Depression. I'm not sure of the exact difference, but maybe that's what they called the Great Depression in Europe. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, I think it was all around the same time.
Yeah, because I think they titled it that on screen, and then I think it's referenced by characters a couple times in the movie.
But this is roughly like, I guess, 20 plus years after the first movie in terms of when it takes place.
I don't think it ever said, but I was guessing somewhere between 20 and 30 years after the first movie.
Hmm.
At this point, their parents have passed away, and Michael was married. His wife died, I think, the previous year, and Jane is not married. And of course, like we mentioned, they had three kids, John, Annabelle, and Georgie.
So was it John?
I was trying to think because like the name stood out to me. I was like, was he named after somebody in the first one? I don't think he was. Georgie had to have been named after their father, George Banks.
I think Peter Pan is where John and Michael come from, so
That's
that's
what
what's
I was
reminding me of.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the main thrust of this movie comes about because they're about to lose their house. With the death of his wife, they were in need of money, so he took out a loan on the house, and now lawyers for the bank have shown up, and they are basically demanding that the house be paid off in 5 days or it will be repossessed.
Then they remember that their dad has shares in the bank, but they have to find proof of that.
Yes, the shares have gone missing.
Yes.
They're basically, Jane and Michael are turning the house upside down trying to find these shares, and they send the kids out for food because Michael has forgotten to get groceries.
There's a nice song where when he's in the attic and he's like mourning his wife.
Hmm.
It's like a sad song about just like how he misses his wife and how like he misses what talking to her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think on YouTube one time I was watching this song and like in the comment section some guy had posted like, oh, like I had just lost my wife like a couple months before and then this song came on. I never expected to see this song in the movie and then like I just cried and cried at that point. It was like, okay, yeah, it just does like hit home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If the first song didn't get to you, this song definitely would.
This one will, yeah.
Mhm. And he sings pretty well, Ben.
Yeah. It's not like a full on musical number. He's just kind of, I mean,
Yeah,
Jane
just
is
kind
there,
of,
but it's like he's singing quietly to himself.
yeah, it's like a soliloquy song, I guess,
Yeah. But while they're searching, he finds their old kite, the one that they flew at the end of the movie.
which they still had after 30 years.
Yes, still with the sash attached. And he's kind of frustrated that they have all of this junk that they've been saving, but he still can't find what he needs. And he starts throwing some stuff out, including this kite, which gets caught by the wind and flies away and is spotted by Georgie, who tries to catch it, but he's almost carried into the sky, except Jack grabs him by the ankles and Mary Poppins catches the kite and descends from the clouds. I really liked that entrance. Like, she still has her umbrella, but her entrance, the umbrella is replaced by this kite, and it just made for a great visual.
Yeah. So like the first movie, the torn up advertisement goes up to the skies, and this one it's the kite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And then this is where you have her greeting Jack, who apparently also knows her, and she inquires about Bert, and he says that he's traveling the world.
I don't know how Bert got enough money to do this, but he must have hit on something pretty good.
Hit it big.
Yeah.
A millionaire passed by while he was making some chalk drawings and dumped a whole bunch of money in his hat.
Shook his
Right.
hand and got lucky.
Inherited a home from one of his chimney sweep customers.
Exactly.
And I like that Mary Poppins just knows who the kids are, and she's scolding them for being filthy and says that she's going to find Michael because the kids clearly need a nanny.
From that point on, you already knew Emily Blunt was perfect as Mary Poppins.
Yes, she's so good.
Absolutely.
And then I love the scene where Jane and Michael are shocked to see her, and they ask what brings her back after all this time, and she says, "The same thing that brought me here the first time. I'm here to look after the bank's children." And Annabelle asks, "Us?" And she says, "Oh, yes, you too."
So perfect.
I like when Michael tells her, like, "Oh, you look like you haven't aged or something." She's like, "Really, Michael?
Uh,
I thought I taught you better than that. Not talk about a woman's age."
She has so many great lines. I also liked when Annabelle tells her they don't need a nanny, they can look after themselves. And she says, "You did just misplace Georgie, I might point out."
You can't win, Mary Poppins.
No, she's so good. And then I like how she basically acts like she did to get the job in the first movie, but she can't really bamboozle Michael in the same way that she did his
Yeah.
father, because
Mhm.
he's insisting that they can't afford it. But Jane insists that they let her stay because the poor woman has nowhere to go. No one's hiring nannies anymore.
Yes.
uh,
Like you mentioned before, Ellen isn't, she's like totally unfazed that Mary Poppins is there.
Yes. And Jane and Michael, they kind of make a lot of things seem like there's some plausible deniability in whether or not things are actually happening. I think at the end, you're supposed to know that everything is truly happening, just adults are forgetting about it. But at least with this scene, you have Jane and Michael thinking that they have imagined all the things with Mary Poppins. And like I think Mary hears them talking, but she's like all too happy to let them keep on believing that these things didn't actually happen.
Like it makes sense because like when they were kids, they were what, like four and well, not like 6 and 9 or something.
I'm
So
not
they
sure.
could,
I was kind of guessing somewhere between 6 and 10.
yeah, something like
I'm
that.
not good at telling kids ages.
Yeah. And it reminded me a lot of like what you brought up in the last episode about the Mary Poppins book about like how babies can they used to be able to talk to understand animals and then they
Hmm.
start to lose that. So it kind of reminds me of the same thing here where it's like, okay, when the kids become adults, they start forgetting this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, and I kind of wonder if that's a recurring theme in the books too. Because, like, I have to imagine that if P.L. Travers came up with the concept of kids forgetting how to talk to animals as they grew up, I'm sure that this could tie into the concept of forgetting about all kinds of magical happenings as they grow up. Like, I should reread the books. Like, I keep thinking about different things. Like, I wonder what this is in the books. This feels like another thing that I should come back later and do a podcast on the books.
yeah, absolutely.
Jonathan, I heart books. Well,
Yeah.
I keep talking about doing this for so many different things. Maybe I should add Mary Poppins to my list of things to return to and do a book podcast on. Anyway, somewhere in here, you also get a line from Mary Poppins similar to the one in the first movie about the wind changing. She tells the kids that she will stay with them until the door opens. And then you get the scene that I think this is probably my favorite song. Like there are scenes that I like better than this, but I really like Can You Imagine That when she draws a bath for the kids. And I love her line before the song starts when one of them says, "But I don't like bubbles." And then just the way she looks at him and says, "Well, then you shall have to avoid them at all costs."
Yeah.
you could tell she really is a nanny.
Yes.
And again, she's Mary Poppins, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
She's so good.
The song is really good, and it cements the relationship between her and the kids. Like this is where the
Yes.
kids decide, okay, yeah, we're gonna like you.
Yeah. I really like this whole scene. It's basically a fantasy underwater setting. It kind of reminded me of Bedknobs and Broomsticks, the beautiful briny scene. But this is more realistic. It's all CG animation instead of hand-drawn animation, but it works for this. And I'm glad that they also have a 2D animation scene coming up. So it's not like they are replacing 2D animation. This is just one thing that they've decided to do as a big, fantastical set piece for the movie. But I love all the visuals in this, from the underwater garden with Keep
Yeah.
Off the Seagrass and the giant rubber duck and the shipwreck and the
Panel
various,
boom.
yeah, all the people that they know in real life are part of this fantasy setting here as well.
Even the tub, like when they slide into the tub for the first time, that's a cool effect.
Yeah, I
Yes.
agree. It looked great.
Yeah, I love the shot of Mary Poppins going in backwards.
I wonder how many takes that took.
I don't know. I just love the smile on her face as she goes in.
Another Mary Poppins thing that happened before was when she was looking at the mirror, and her mirror image was different than her as well.
Hmm. And her umbrella also talks in this one.
Umbrella also talks as well.
Yes, yes.
Kind of throughout, instead of it being a reveal at the end that it's been
Yeah.
alive.
And no one could hear it except Georgie.
Ah,
Maybe the other kids are too old. Maybe this is like the animals thing.
The age of not believing.
yes, that's what I was thinking of too. The age.
A lot of similar themes in these movies.
Bunch of
yes.
kids, a lady taking care of them,
Yeah.
magical.
After the underwater scene, you have another scene reminiscent-ish of the first movie, but not a musical number, when the kids try and tell Michael what happened, but he's upset. He still can't find the shares, and he's basically trashed the room trying to find them. And Jane suggests that they check their father's safety deposit box at the bank. So they leave, and then Mary Poppins magically cleans up the room.
She nonchalantly tosses one paper into the box, and then everything else starts to go like Merlin's Hicketus Ficketus Winketus Mom.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she tells Georgie to take out the trash, and he pulls out one piece of paper that had a drawing that Michael had done of their family, and he saves that because he's going to use it later to fix the kite. And then at the bank, this is where you meet the nephew of Mr. Dawes Jr. There's nothing useful in their safety deposit box, so they go to talk to him and hope that he will be able to give them an extension, but he basically just acts like he's concerned and willing to help, but he doesn't do anything, and he says that they don't have any records of them owning shares. But then as soon as they leave, he rips out some pages and tells his secretary to bring in some other records that he hadn't had before. So he's basically destroying any proof that they own shares of the bank. And then at some point, Annabelle and John are talking about trying to sell their mother's priceless Royal Doulton bowl to pay off the debt. And it's kind of funny that we already talked about keeping up appearances, because that's my main association with Royal Doulton China, is keeping up appearances.
It's keeping up appearances. Nice. Awesome.
Because that's a recurring thing with Hyacinth. She always talks about her hand-painted periwinkle Royal Doulton China.
Oh wow, what a coincidence.
Every time Royal Doulton is not something you hear about very often. So that's my main association, because I'd never heard of it before keeping up appearances, and I rarely hear about it since. And I looked up Royal Doulton on Wikipedia, and there's only really 3 entries in the section of what it's been used in, and 2 of them are keeping up appearances and Mary Poppins Returns.
wow.
So
Nice, John. Wow.
And then this is where you have the argument about trying to sell this, and this is where they kind of cemented me as yeah, I like these kids. They feel like real kids. But I also really liked Mary Poppins' line as they're whispering to themselves, and she says, "If you two are going to keep up all this whispering, I'd like you to practice doing so as loudly as possible. It will still be bad manners, but then at least we'd all be in on the secret."
That's good.
I think her Mary Poppins was more, I don't know if witty is the right word, but than Julie Andrews is. Like, she had a lot more cleverer lines, I think.
Yeah, and she felt like slightly more
punchy.
Yes. and a little bit more stern. And I kind of wondered to myself, would P.L. Travers like her better than Julie Andrews? Because that was one of her
Yeah.
big things that she did not like about Julie Andrews, that she was too sweet. And I feel like, even though this still does feel like the same character, she has just a tiny bit more of an edge to her.
The estate seems to like her. So.
Yeah. At this point, that's all that matters. But I do just kind of wonder what P.L. Travers would think. Hopefully, she would like her. But then, of course, the Royal Doulton bowl has been cracked, and Jack comes by and tells them that whoever broke something should fix it. And they notice that there's also a broken carriage in the bowl, in the painting on the bowl. And he says he could fix that. So Mary Poppins magics them into the bowl, and you get a new 2D scene inside the painting. And I really like how all of their clothes transform. It's like they have vibes from the first movie, so it
Yes.
feels similar. But I love that all of the clothes have like lines on them, so like they're real, but they also feel like they could have been drawn.
Yes.
Never thought of that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a really nice touch.
yeah. And then they fix the carriage. We meet Seamus and Clyde, the carriage driver and his horse. Seamus is a dog.
He's part poodle.
Yes. And as soon as I saw Clyde this time, I was like, I am like 99, like I could not find any proof of this. So this is just me spitballing, but I am 99.9% sure that this Clyde character is an homage to Bill Pete's art. I feel like
That's a good
I keep
point.
bringing
Yeah.
up Bill Pete for a bunch of podcasts, but like, just if you look up Bill Pete's book, Cowardly Clyde, there's a horse named Clyde that almost looks exactly like this horse.
You're the Bill Pete guy. You need to make this podcast.
I guess I was not expecting to bring up Bill Pete in a movie from 2018. I don't know why he keeps coming up, but like as soon as I saw this Clyde character, I was like, that looks like Cowardly Clyde from Bill Pete's book. And like it makes sense if somebody knew their Disney history and wants to do an homage to artists from the past. Like I don't know how much and what bits were inspired by different things from the past, but like you can see little inspirations throughout. Like I'm sure those penguins were inspired by the original Mary Poppins.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But like if you look up Cowardly Clyde, it's a horse. It's named Clyde, and it has the same shape. And Bill Pete worked at Disney, and his horses looked like this. If this is not based on Bill Pete's work, this is an incredible coincidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
He has a big I don't know what the word is, not a snout, I guess, but like
Yeah,
his face is bigger.
yeah,
Which is like the same. I can see like what you mean about the Clyde in the movie.
yeah. And like,
Oh yeah, no, I see it now. Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And I don't think if I had not been just recently doing a bunch of podcasts and Bill Pete kept coming up, I don't know that I would have made that connection, because like when I first saw this, I didn't think of Bill Pete when I first watched this movie, but at that point, I hadn't thought of Bill Pete in probably like, I don't know, 25, 30 years, however long it had been since I was a little kid checking out his books from the library. But just the fact that Bill Pete was on my mind so many times in the last few months, and then watching this, I was like, this feels like too spot on to just be a coincidence.
Yeah.
You need to be the Bill Pete guy on YouTube now.
Yes.
Like I'm pretty sure no one else is, so you have to take up that.
I mean, I don't know that anybody else is talking about Bill Pete. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of strange that I grew up reading a bunch of his books, and it turns out he also was an artist on a bunch of movies I loved growing up and had no idea at the time. So, yeah.
It's all meant to be.
Yeah, that's a cool coincidence. I love it.
Yeah. But anyways, they fix the carriage and then go to the Royal Doulton Music Hall,
I like that song a lot, dude.
which turns out to just be Mary Poppins' umbrella transformed into a huge tent that's also a theater.
Oh, is that what it was? I didn't catch on to that.
Yeah, she like spun her umbrella around, and then the big tent appeared.
I must have just not seen that for some reason.
I mean, you don't see the transformation happen, but
Uh,
I mean, I think it's implied when the camera like zooms in on her spinning umbrella and then pulls back to reveal the tent that looks like
oh,
it has the exact same pattern as the umbrella.
okay, makes sense. I just totally did not catch on to that.
But outside this tent, they're greeted by a wolf, a badger, and a weasel
Oh my.
who know the children by name and act friendly, but then once they're inside, the wolf is grinning evilly to himself. And this wolf is also voiced by Colin Firth,
Mhm.
who plays the evil bank manager. And the weasel and badger are voiced by the people who play the lawyers that work for the evil bank manager. So there's like I don't know how this world the magic in this world works, but this is basically the same characters,
Yeah.
just the cartoony, even more extra evil versions of them.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Colin Firth has ever done a voice in an animated film, so this is like the closest thing we got to that.
Well, I guess he has now because he voiced the wolf. So
Well, yeah, yeah, I meant like a fully animated film, but yeah.
yeah. And then we get another of my favorite songs. A cover is not the book because Jack insists that Mary perform a song with him. And I like how she pretends to refuse, but then joins him on the stage and tells the conductor she
Right.
needs a D flat major.
Such a classic Mary Poppins thing, you know.
Yeah,
And it is such a
Diva.
fun scene. Great choreography, and they're just so good together. Really fun.
yeah. I really like the song, all the wordplay and the costumes and the interactions with the penguins. Like, again, I don't know how the magic works in these worlds, but I feel like these have to be the same penguins from the first movie.
They're still alive. They move
Yeah.
from one painting to another.
Yes,
Yeah.
they exist in an alternate art universe.
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if I wouldn't say I like this song, but I would say this is the catchiest song in the movie. Like you can't not get it out of your head.
Yeah, it's really good. But then during this musical number, Georgie is kidnapped by the wolf because he spotted him and his minions stealing all of their belongings from their real world room.
Including his giraffe.
Yes. And then Annabelle and John go out to rescue him with the help of Seamus and Clyde. And I really liked how they set up this scene, like using the actual curvature of the bowl as part of this world, like riding up on the side to try and help get them into the cart to rescue Georgie.
Yeah.
And then the wolf using the fact that the bowl is porcelain against them by cracking it. And then they end up getting like launched out of the bowl at the end of the scene. I just thought the whole thing was really creative.
Like this is definitely more action packed than Mary Poppins was.
Yeah,
Especially the animated. It's like
yeah,
way more danger.
yeah. But then all the kids wake up in their beds like this has all been just a dream, except they all dreamed the same dream. And this is another thing where it, like this is not as prevalent in the original, this idea that this could all just be in their imaginations, but they keep coming back to that, which was an interesting touch to the story. And then this is where you get the place where lost things go as the kids are upset about missing their mother. And then at the end of that song, after Mary Poppins leaves the room, Annabelle notices that her scarf is still in the painting on the bowl. So even though it seems like it was just a dream, it couldn't have just been a dream.
Yeah, it's like it must have happened, but how?
Yeah. And then the next day, you have a scene between Jane and Jack, and they have a conversation together, and Ellen is spying on them, and she's like momentarily excited, like maybe there's something between them. But then she tells Mary that nothing will come of it because Jane said that ship sailed years ago.
Mary Poppins is like, there's always more ships.
Yeah.
And this is the scene where Karen Dautrice shows up for a moment. So at this point, this is where they need to go visit Topsy to get the bowl mended. But they also need to deliver Michael's briefcase to him because he forgot it that morning.
Well, she took it from him to forget.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
Yeah, you have to pay attention, but as he's rushing out the door, she hands him, I think, his coat or something. She takes the bag from his hand and keeps it with her. So that it's all planned on her end.
It's all planned to
Okay.
to do this visit, right?
Yes.
Sneaky Mary Poppins.
Yeah, if you
I
watch it,
know,
if
Mary
you watch it, you'll see.
Poppins.
I'll have to pay attention next time I watch it.
Yeah.
But I loved the moment here where they're figuring out how they're going to get around, and Jack offers them a ride on his bicycle using a ladder so that he could fit everybody on.
Never thought
And
of that before.
no, and Jane has the right question, asking if they're sure that this is safe. But I loved Mary Poppins' reply with a big smile. She says, "Not in the slightest."
Yes.
The safety schmafety. This is still the 30s or 40s.
And then, like I said, they're off to visit Mary Poppins' cousin Topsy. And again, I really liked how this was all set up. I thought it was really creative. A nice spiritual successor, in a way, to the scene in the original movie.
So the question is Topsy Uncle Albert's daughter, or is this a cousin from a different uncle?
I have no idea. And I don't
No
think
idea
that she
either.
even knows, because
Yeah.
I feel like it's in question of whether or not they're actually related, because there's some line about second cousin many times removed, and Jack asks something about, like, where's your accent from? And Mary Poppins says, we have no idea.
Yeah. I think it would be very interesting to see Mary Poppins like at a family reunion. Like, just imagine how kooky that get together would be.
Yeah.
There's your
That'd
Mary
be
Poppins
wild.
3.
What other kind of relatives does she have?
Mhm.
This feels like something that some Walt Disney executive would order.
Yeah.
Uh,
Reminds me of
uh,
like Meet the Robinsons, like all that whole family in the
yeah,
future.
just all these colorful characters, right? They're just big,
Meet the
larger than life.
Poppinses.
Meet the Poppinses. There we go. Disney, hire us.
Well, after the scene with Topsy, they go to return the briefcase, and the kids end up sneaking away from Mary to see if they can talk to one of the lawyers from the beginning to see if there's anything that they can do about the house. But they overhear a conversation with Wilkins talking about repossessing their house. And I think Georgie only sees them in shadow, and he recognizes them as the same animal gang that kidnapped him in the bowl.
Yeah, he sees the with the watch.
Yes. So then he freaks out and starts yelling at them, and they end up getting chased out of the office. And Wilkins makes a veiled threat about firing their dad. And of course, Michael doesn't know what's actually going on. So he's angry with the kids for putting his job at risk now, in addition to the house.
Yeah, there's no run on the bank in this movie. I guess it's harder to have a run on the bank now.
Yeah. Which I'm fine that they didn't involve the whole city in this big scene.
Yeah, me too. That didn't. I don't think that would have fit very well, would it have?
No, yeah, it makes a lot more sense to have it just be about the danger to the family home here. But then, similar to the original film, they go home at dusk and end up getting lost in the fog and have to be taken home by, in this case, Jack instead of Bert. And this is where you get Trip a Little Light Fantastic. And I really like this song.
I like it a lot too. Until the rap.
I didn't think of any part of it as being rap. I guess that sort of makes sense, but I like the song either way. The quote unquote rap didn't bother me.
I like it until he meets the other Learys
I liked when Mary joins them,
when she does her part. Yeah.
but this whole scene ended up actually being a lot longer than I'd remembered. Like, it went on for quite a while, which I guess makes sense because the similar scene, Chim Chimney, went on for quite a while in the original film too.
And Step in Time, yeah.
But again, I don't really mind. Like, I don't like any time that a scene went on for a long time, it never really bothered me. I almost feel like I want more of this kind of thing. Again, I
I
think
know. Yeah.
I'm finding out how much I like musicals, so I want more of this stuff.
Particularly good musicals like this one, it's just like, yeah,
Yes. No, that's what I was thinking when I was watching it. I was like, I just kept thinking of like the recent Disney remakes, and I was like, why can't more of them be like this?
yeah,
I think you'd love to see a Broadway show.
I probably would.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's a Mary Poppins Broadway show. I would love to see that.
Is that I wonder if that's still running.
yeah, that's running
I'm not
somewhere. I don't
sure.
believe it's running in Broadway, in New York, but maybe it's in the West End, somewhere in London.
Yeah, that would be one that I wish. Disney has so many stage musicals of their movies, but they don't film them, or if they do, they don't release them. I wish they would release a pro shot of these things so that I could at least see them on TV. It's not the same as being there in person, but at least I could watch it. I would really like to see what the stage musical version of Mary Poppins is like. After the Triple Little Light Fantastic scene, they get home and Michael is basically having a breakdown.
And all the lyrics disappear at that point.
Yeah. The kids sing part of the song that Mary Poppins had sang to them the night before, The Place Where Lost Things Go, and they all make up. And the kids go to get ready for bed, and Michael asks Mary Poppins if she had anything to do with the kids trying to save the house, but she says she never said a word. And then he says, the whole time I've been looking after them, they've been looking after me. I had it all backwards. And Mary says, a Banks family trait.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
So then I think a couple days pass. I'm not sure how many days it's been so far, but Friday is the day that was their deadline. And you have a scene, it's basically almost midnight. They're moving out of the house. They've run out of time. They didn't get the money. They couldn't find the shares. And Georgie remembers that he's left the old kite inside. So he runs back for it. And Michael notices that the missing shares certificate had been cut up and used to piece together the kite. So now they're trying to rush to the bank before midnight. And Mary Poppins and the children go with Jack and the lamplighters to turn back time, quote unquote.
Great Scott.
They're not literally turning back time, but they're scaling Big Ben, trying to turn the time backwards to give them a few extra minutes so they can get to the bank in time, which they somehow pull it off. Like it did.
Yeah.
This is like the most the most unrealistic part in a movie where they've dived into an ocean through a bathtub.
Through a bathtub.
But this is,
And the nanny flies in on an umbrella.
yes.
This was the most
This was the most unrealistic.
This movie.
1 star. Do they think Big Ben has no security? What is this?
Yeah.
It does not matter, but I just for whatever reason, this is the part that stuck out to me the most. Is like this is impossible that they would be able to scale the clock that quickly. But they pull it off. Jane and Michael get to the bank and they manage to get him the certificate just in time.
And Admiral Boom is happy that Big Ben is finally right.
Yeah, because he had made one or two comments earlier in the movie about Big Ben being off, but whatever time it was off by, Mary Poppins put it right when she was able to pull the hand backwards.
Yes. All was made right with the world.
At least in Admiral Boom's world.
Right.
He could die peacefully now.
The Banks family.
But then, of course, the certificate had been cut up to patch the kite together, and there's still a piece missing. So Wilkins is not going to honor it. The most important piece, the piece with
the signatures.
Yes. But then, of course, we have the best Deus Ex Machina in the form of Dick Van Dyke.
Yes.
Waltzing in and firing his nephew on the spot.
Yes.
I wonder whatever happened to Tomes, Mousley, and Grubb. Like, it just seems like just Dawes is in charge of this bank now.
Oh, he looks pretty old. I bet the other guys are dead.
Yeah, they died.
And they didn't have any nephews to pass it down to.
Yeah, any boys to pass it on.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's something that we're meant to think about. But it basically reveals that Michael had plenty of assets on his own to cover the loan because of the tuppence that his father had deposited earlier.
Stole from him.
Which part of me wonders if this is literally true or if this is Mr. Dawes Jr. giving him the house, but doing it in a way that makes it seem like it was Michael's money that did it. I'm not sure, and I'm not sure we're supposed to know, but his reveal felt like he was giving him the house, but making up the thing about the tuppence. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it.
Well, you do have a point, yeah.
So their house is saved, and then the next day they go to the park.
And I said it before, but I really love the color scheme, like the bright colors they wear. Like
yes.
Everything's just so colorful in that scene.
Yeah, there have been so many kind of gloomy scenes throughout this movie because the mood of the movie was
Yeah.
a bit more dark and gloomy because of the impending loss of their house. But now that everything is fine, the color palette is just very bright and colorful.
Yeah.
This, yeah, so fun.
And then this is where you get Angela Lansbury as the balloon lady and the final song, Nowhere to Go But Up, which I love that they got her in to sing this song. Like everybody joins in, but she's the one who kicks this song off. And
Yeah, she's the one who launches it.
you did such a great job.
Brilliant.
She still sounds amazing, and she memorized that song. Like, it doesn't look like she was reading off a card or anything.
Yeah, she did such a great job. Like, as much as I would have liked to see Julie Andrews somewhere in the movie, I'm glad that we got Angela Lansbury. She's perfect for
Same.
this role.
Yeah, like, I'll take that. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
But then, while they're all flying around on balloons, Mary Poppins has to leave. The door has opened to their house, but it's more the door of their lives has been opened by peace being restored to their lives.
Yeah. And I just felt that was such an optimistic scene for just humans everywhere. You know, just like any moviegoer who's watching this, maybe in some way could relate to the story, and then just the positivity of it.
Yes.
You know, that was one of the things I loved about it too. Just such a wonderful, happy, optimistic message
Yes.
of that song.
Yeah, for as, I don't know, sad and gloomy as a lot of parts were, overall, the movie was just so optimistic.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why I liked it so much this time. Like, I remember liking it the first time I watched it. I loved it when it first came out. But, like, I don't know. I think I just needed it this week. I just was,
Yeah,
it
exactly.
just cheered me up watching this. It was just so good.
It puts a smile on your face.
It
Yes.
does.
Yeah. Just everything about it. The cast is great. The music is great. The set pieces are great. The cinematography is great. Just everything in this movie comes together to make another Disney masterpiece. Like, and I would not have expected that. When I first heard about a Mary Poppins sequel,
Yeah.
50 some years after the original, it's like, who needs this? But then to have them absolutely knock it out of the park and make it on par with the original, just, it's shocking how good this movie is and how much I love it.
Yeah, this should have been a very bad movie.
I don't want to say yes, it should have been bad, but like from all accounts, from all the things that have been going on with all of the remakes,
Yeah.
it just felt like this was going to be another one of those. It was going to be just a cynical corporate cash grab, but everything in this movie came together and just worked.
Which is sad when like it was a hit. It made a lot of money at the box, but it didn't make like a lot of money at the box office.
Yeah, it was by no means a bomb, but it was not like $1 billion hit, you know?
Yeah.
I remember there was rumors, or I heard someone tell me rumors about like if this movie was a success, they were gonna try to put a Mary Poppins ride at the UK Pavilion in Epcot. But it was just rumors.
Yeah, it was only a moderate hit, and then COVID came too, and that killed a lot of Epcot,
pre-COVID,
killed a lot of Epcot projects, which was a real bummer.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, the Mary Poppins ride was, I think, a victim of both.
I guess I'm not surprised that this wasn't a massive success, but I don't know. I feel like in years to come, I think it will be looked on much more fondly than a lot of the movies that have come out around the same time.
I think so too. Yeah, I agree. And then in the future, when we get Mary Poppins 3, when she comes back to see the grandkids of Mr. Banks.
Yes, exactly. The Banks grandkids.
Well, I was thinking about that today because, like, nothing has been said in years, but they had originally talked about making a third one.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they were setting anything up for the third one, but I feel like if they do a third one, I think they were setting up Jane and Jack to eventually get married.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if a third one would be about them and their kids.
Sure.
Which that could be really fun. Like all of these characters. I would love all of these characters again. We don't need them to fix Michael's family again.
Twice is enough.
Yeah. No, I feel like there's potential there. Like I don't really like the idea of having Jane and Jack going through some traumatizing thing that they need Mary Poppins to come in and fix.
A divorce or something, God forbid.
No, I hope not. That would be awful.
Yeah.
Don't don't knock two out of the park to come in and destroy the third one.
Mary Poppins Matchmaker. That's what the third one will be.
Yeah, there we go.
But I mean, if they do a third one, I feel like it kind of makes sense that they would follow Jane, like especially because I mean, at this point they haven't started it now. It's going to be more than 10 years after the second one.
Well, I'll come back in 10 years for another podcast in 2035.
If they do follow Jane and Jack and any future kids they might have, if they come in at the point where they're like 10, I mean, what's the timeline? Would it be like World War II time? I don't know if I want a Mary Poppins in the war movie, but I feel like Bedknobs and Broomsticks was a war movie and that was amazing. So
It'll be at the end of World War II, probably.
yeah, that's fine. You can do that.
Mary Poppins fights Nazis.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to that.
Yeah.
I think the problem if they make a third movie now is like now they have two movies that had amazing songs that they have to
That is true.
match.
I know,
Two movies with
mean,
amazing stories, two movies with
Yeah.
amazing cast, two movies with amazing set pieces. So that it's like double the expectations.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they will. I just know that I read that it had been talked about. I'm not saying we need another one. And if they don't have a good story, I don't want them to try and force one through. But this one was good, like shockingly good. So I would like more Mary Poppins. But again, don't force it if you don't actually have one. I want Mary Poppins, but I want Mary Poppins to be good.
I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, this one was amazing. I'm so glad that I rewatched it for the podcast because, like I said, I think I needed an optimistic, happy movie.
There's a number of movies that I watch regularly every now and then, especially Disney movies, and this is one of them. So
This is in the rotation. Nice.
this in the rotation, yes.
Yeah, which you can't say that about a lot of recent Disney movies.
No, there's probably the newest Disney movie in that rotation.
The only other one that I can think of right off the top of my head is Encanto. I loved Encanto, but I feel like there's been so many. Like, I'm not one to hate on current Disney, but they haven't had a lot of wins lately.
No.
And this one was just such a win.
Mm.
Like I said, this was shockingly good. I did not expect this to be this good. If for whatever reason somebody is listening to this that has not watched it, go out and watch this now. This has one of my highest recommendations for a movie that I've done a podcast on recently. It's so good. Well, I think that is all we have to say about Mary Poppins Returns. I think we will return in the future for more podcasts that may or may not be related to Mary Poppins. I would like to do the book or books at some point, so that might be a thing we do in the future. But I think we have some other things we'll do before then. Either way, until we come back for something else, do you guys want to let people know where they can find you if they'd like more from you? Mark?
Sure, thanks for having me on. As always, you could check out my blogs, The Animation Commendation at theanimationcommendation.com. I have animated film reviews, top 13 list, and I run a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire animation game show there. And you can check out my live-action Disney project at myliveactiondisneyproject.com, where I'm trying to watch and review every single theatrically released live-action Disney movie ever made. And I've reviewed both this film and Mary Poppins, so you can check it out there. Thanks.
Okay, and Stanford?
Thank you so much for having me on. I am so grateful to you both, grateful for your friendship, and grateful we can talk about movies. You know, I love movies, and you can find my podcast at moviespastandpresent.com. I'm also on Instagram. My handle is at moviespap, as in past and present.
Okay, well, we will see you in the future for more podcasting. Thanks for listening to the Disney Movie Marathon. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. My Linktree and all of our links will be in the description below. If you want more of my content, all my podcasts are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you enjoyed this show, check out one of the other podcasts or check out my Patreon for bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening and we'll see you next time.